Elevator, Sean Leon. We in Atlanta.
Hi, my name is Mustafa Abubakar. I'm here with Sean Leon for Elevator. Sean, thanks for coming.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Nice to meet you.
Absolutely. Nice to meet you too, man. What's your, before we get into your recent developments, I want to ask you, what's your earliest memory of music, as far as you can remember?
My earliest memory. It would have to be buying The College Dropout on CD, going to HMV. HMV is like the music store in Toronto, like music chain. They don't have them anymore. But I remember being young and going in there and buying The College Dropout, going home, ripping it out the package, reading all the credits, going through the album booklet, listening to the record itself, and just kind of having that moment by myself. I think that's probably my earliest memory, my most vivid memory. Either that or listening to my big brother's mixtape. I'm so bad with timelines these days because life's moving so fast. I haven't been able to, it's hard for me to know exactly what happened when, and what happened first. But those are like the most, I think, significant moments of my early music experience.
Now, how musical was your childhood? Like coming up in Ajax on 66 Tyndall Avenue.
Well, no, Tyndall is actually
Tyndall.
that's actually in Parkdale.
Okay,
that's in
Parkdale.
Toronto, right? And
That's in
I didn't
Toronto.
move. Right, I didn't move there till later on. When I became a young man and I was old enough to live on my own. My, when I think about that point in that period of my life, I really just think about riding around with my dad and him always having like these oldies on the radio and like these old records from like the 80s or like the 70s. I think about, the music my sisters used to play in the house when they were fighting with my mom, and they would go to their room and slam the door and blast certain records.
You've gone on record saying you've slept in a McDonald's and you've slept in a Tim Hortons overnight over music.
Yeah.
How did those nights go, and what has it taken to get to this point?
That was just my stubborn, just being stubborn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I know people, so there were places I could have gone and there were people I could have reached out to, but at those times, when you've been on your own long enough, or when you have a vision for yourself that nobody else seems to kind of see for yourself too, when you have kind of a singular perspective about your potential and what you can do, you can kind of become hard-headed. So I was in a position where I was just like, I'm gonna just stick to my guns, regardless of what happens and where it puts me. Like, I know that, at some point in my life, it's gonna be clear, it's gonna make perfect sense, and people are finally gonna be like, you know what, you were right. And that's what that was about. So on those like cold nights where it was like, sleeping outside or sleeping on a bench or sleeping in like a McDonald's, it was like, really all that kept me going was my ego at those times. It was just like, one day, I'm gonna prove everybody wrong. And that's what that was about. And again, that was basically rooted in music. It was like, hey, family, I don't feel like playing basketball anymore. My heart isn't in it. I can still perform at a high level, but I'll begin to resent it. And that's what was happening. There was like a growing resentment towards just the sport itself. And I was like, simply because like I had found this thing that I really loved doing. And I was like, I gotta pursue it, regardless if it makes sense to you. I gotta pursue this thing because I just know how it was gonna end for me, because to me it's this or it's death, you know what I'm saying? So it was pretty much a no-brainer. And again, because of that friction and that me being so adamant about it, being like, yo, it has to be this way. It can't be any other way. It has to be. This was written for me. I talk to God and we have conversations, and He lets me know. He reassures me that this is what it's about. This is what I'm on earth to do. Regardless of how anybody else feels about it, I gotta pursue it 100%. I can't let it go. So, if that meant fighting with my mother, the woman that brought me into this world, then I'm going to fight with my mother at the time. And I mean, fast forward now, we talk and she says things like, had I known, I would have put you in music classes. or had I known, you know, I might have reacted differently or operated differently. But, you know, to be fair to her, again, I was the first in my family to even branch out and do something this polarizing, this singular, you know. So it's, and as a father now myself, you know, my daughter, she's turning 5 this year on Christmas, and having that perspective now, I understand that fear. You know, you want what's best for your kid. You want your kid to be in a position where you know they'll be good and they'll be safe and they'll be taken care of. And I can totally understand that fear, but I just didn't let that fear control or dictate my life.
Who was the first person to call you Sean Leon, or did you give the name?
I just
yourself?
went with it myself because I just, you know, at the time I thought Matthew was too soft, man. I'm not gonna hold you, man. I thought whenever I thought of Matthew, I thought a little, you know, it just wasn't the image that I wanted for myself. And, you know, Sean Leon, I just saw that on the cover of magazines, man. I saw it on billboards. I saw it on the cover of Rolling Stone. I saw it just all over. I could just visualize it. And then just aesthetically, as a box, it's 4 letters and 4 letters. You know, SEANLEON, and then again in the middle you got the EA and the EO. And just aesthetically, it's just, I was like, this is a really beautiful name. So I was like, I gotta go with it. So I just kind of pushed the button on it.
What do you remember about the first song that you wrote and recorded under Sean Leon?
I remember thinking it was gonna be the one.
The very first song.
Yeah, I remember thinking it was gonna be
Was
the one
that
that
in the
changed my life.
basement in Parkdale?
Yeah, no, that wasn't in the basement in Parkdale. That was still at my mother's house. That was in the basement in the deep end. That's what we call it. It's the east end. We call it the deep end because it's really easy to drown out there and get lost out there and just never come back. And yeah, that was my mom's basement, and that's where I founded the Access I Initiative. It actually wasn't in Scarborough. I was born in Scarborough, but we moved to Ajax when I was 6, and I just came up in the East End. And then when I was old enough, I moved to the city, and I've been in the city ever since.
When was the first time you met Daniel Caesar?
That was probably 2011.
What was that like meeting him for the first time?
We just connected off top. He's my little brother.
Was
We
it
just
at the
connected.
studio?
The first time I met him was outside his parents' house. We just pulled up on him. A friend of mine, Nico Gray, 2 friends of mine, Jordan Manswell, went to church with him, and they said, you know, here's this guy that we need to have in the movement. He needs to be a part of the movement. So I pulled up on him, and we just exchanged horror stories, man. We got really similar come-ups, and he was, you know, arguing with his parents too, and dealing with that friction as well.
What is it like recording music with the Junior T for Studio Monk in Toronto's Corktown's Soleil Sound? Am I pronouncing it right? Soleil Sound?
Yeah, shout out to Junes, man.
Shout
It's
out to
crazy. I was
Junes.
talking to Junes today.
Uh-huh.
I love working with Junes, man. He's one of the best energies I've ever come across, ever. Just like, you can't teach that. That's just something that somebody's blessed with, you know. So I love working with him. He's a genius. He does a lot of different things. You know, he can produce, he can rap, he can provide melody as well. And he just kind of sets you up to be the best version of yourself. And then he'll also kind of challenge you too based on the production and get you to you know, maybe step outside of your box. But he'll never set you up and make you look whack. He'll always like just set you up so that you are, you know, a really dope version of yourself no matter what.
I gotta ask you this. How much credit do you take for Daniel Caesar's success?
I don't know. I don't
Do you
credit.
feel like-
No,
you
I
feel
don't
like
really.
the
I
industry should
don't take.
recognize you
I don't take
as
credit.
a
I don't take credit.
tastemaker?
Nah, I mean, I don't really take credit in any of that stuff. People tell me all the time, you know, I got, you know, people back home that tell me, like, you know, Sean, you're the catalyst of the Renaissance, and you're the ultimate A&R. And as much as I appreciate those comments and I receive them as compliments, I don't really take stock in that. You know, I don't think about any of that at all. I'm so focused on this vision that I have, and it's the initial vision that I had when I was in my mom's basement, but since then it's expanded. That, you know, taking credit in that, I think would almost be doing myself a disservice. You know, I think it would kind of create. It's a breeding ground for becoming complacent. So I don't think about it at all. We got so much more to do. When the dust is settled and we're all discussing and I own this part of the world and he owns that part of the world and we're having conversations, then it'll come out and we'll figure things out. But until then, I'm not really focused on that at all. I've got so much in store.
Man, you had a billboard go up in the Toronto Eden Center,
Yeah. Dundas Square.
overlooking the city.
Yeah.
Dundas Square.
Shout out to Spotify Canada.
Shout out to Spotify, man. I mean, what was it like on the day you went and go see it for yourself?
It was crazy, man. It was, man, you know what? But as important as it was for me, honestly, man, I thought it was more important for everybody that's believed in me, and I want to prove these people right, man, real badly, you know? You know, musically, I like to think, and even just as an artist, I'm selfish and I'm a narcissist, and I work on my work for myself, but, you know, lately I have been just thinking about everybody that's ever supported me, and, you know, gratitude is a must, you know, and it's just necessary, and I just wanted them to see, like, you know, where their support has gotten me, and, you know, I wanted them to realize, if they hadn't already realized, that, you know, with them and through them, like, all of this is really possible.
On a broader level, what are your thoughts about the state of the music industry today, and what is your label situation?
I'm
What's your
unsigned.
manager
I'm
situation?
unsigned. I have no management, no publishing. I am the most independent, free nigga on the planet, and I somehow was able to finesse my way into these rooms. I have absolutely no representation. I pull up here with who? We can't say who, but we pull up with a couple of people that got nothing to do with my work, you know? And that's not by choice. I mean, part of it is by choice now, that I have a bit more leverage and a bit more clout. But before, it was just out of necessity. Like, I didn't have anybody that wanted to shoot my videos, so I had to shoot my own videos. And in shooting my videos, I learned about cutting, I learned about color, I learned about
So
flow.
you're a director too, not just a rapper.
Yeah, I
know
got a visual for 90 BPM.
coming out soon, or is that
Yeah,
already out?
no, it's not out yet. We're gonna probably put it out after the Kanye album comes out. We're gonna,
When is the Kanye album dropping?
I mean, according to Kim Kardashian, it's coming out in September. But Lord knows, man, Lord knows and he knows. You know, nobody else knows when that Ye record's coming out. I'm excited for it, though.
So what's happening in this photo with yourself, Jared Carmichael, Kanye West, that is on this page and is also on Instagram?
Yeah. Man, you know what's so crazy about that is I didn't put that photo out because, you know, there's a real strict no Instagram policy when we're working on records. And I'm honestly not even allowed to divulge too much information, but the person that posted that record is actually a guy named Cootie, who, shout out to Cootie, I met him in the studio with Ye. He is a director, and he actually directed Through the Wire video, which is Kanye, I think it's like one of his first videos ever. So he has a different level of clearance. So when that came out, and I saw it, I was bugging, because I was like, this is sick, fucking sick.
Yeah.
A photo that's out that I didn't post that I'm in, I can post it now, you know what I mean? Because I think a lot of people thought I was capping. So I was like, man, you know, and it doesn't really matter what people think, but even just for me to see it, to like see a photo of me in there, because these are my heroes, man. These are like, and again, you know, being independent and actually independent, and coming from Toronto where there's a very obvious monopoly and there are very few ways to get out of it, and somehow managing to get out of it after all these years of suffering and bleeding and crying and pain and being a martyr and being destroyed for being like singular and polarizing, and to be there and be in the room, and then not only be in the room but to be an important voice in that room and to have my opinion like valued, and then not only that, to be giving music and being there strictly off the music, not because I know somebody, not because somebody put me there, but because I was like, nah, I got this record for you, I know he's gonna love it, I'm gonna play him this record. And he loved it. And that was that. Since then, that was that. It was it. It was strictly.
Let's break it down. I mean, looks like you're in a small room. This may be at Kanye's studio, this may be at
I don't want to. I'm not gonna confirm or deny where it was at, but I'll say that yeah, I got the Ye hoodie on. I got my Ye's joints on right now too. I wear them every day.
He's got the blue hoodie, or looks like.
Yeah, he got the blue hoodie. He's really super amped about that hoodie. It's a fucking fire hoodie.
So how did you guys meet? How did that even come about?
First time I met Ye was I was in LA. working on the Daniel Caesar record, Case Study 1 that just came out. And we were in there going to the studio with Brandy, and I was, helping write that record. So I ended up writing like that last half of that Brandy record, Love Again. And we were in the studio with Pharrell and Chad Hugo, the Neptunes. And what's crazy about that session too is Jay-Z just walked into that session. So I'm meeting Hov, and Hov's rapping, and P's looking at me while Hov's rapping. And it's like a real life, that's my favorite rapper. That's Iceberg Slim. That's a fact. I'm so glad you know that. And it's like Fade to Black in real life. And I'm tripping, and a couple weeks later we go to Sunday service. And my whole thinking while I'm at Sunday service is like, maybe I'll meet Ye, but probably not. But at least I'll see him, because the last time I saw him was at Yeezus. And I had to drive all the way to Montreal. I was from Toronto. I drove all the way to Montreal. It was like a 5-hour drive just to see him at Yeezus. And we're there, and you know what? We're in the Sunday service, and Ye just came up to me and started talking to me randomly. And everybody around me that I came with was like, what just happened? And to me, that's enough, right? Yeah. Understand that if nothing else happened, that would have been enough.
What did he say?
He was just like, what's up? He was just like, what's up?
What did he say?
I don't remember. I was probably stuttering at the time.
Yeah.
And then after the end of the service, we was there with Daniel, and he was talking to Daniel, and he was like, you got any songs to play? So we went to the studio. We started playing some of the Daniel records. I didn't play any of my music because I felt like, I'm there with Daniel, so I want to give him his time. I don't want to overstep. I don't want to step on anybody's toes. And then not only that, I contributed so much to these Daniel records that they feel like my records too. Like that Case Study album feels like my album too.
So real quick, you think Daniel Caesar your artist? Would you call him your artist?
Nah, I wouldn't call him my artist. That's so ownership. Nah, I wouldn't call him that at all. No, but
So so it's you, Daniel, and Kanye.
Yeah, and the whole team. Like we're all there. The producers are there. My friends are there. My brothers are there. Guys I've known since high school. We're all there, and we're playing some of the songs off the Daniel record before they're completely finished. But we're playing them for Ye, and that ends, and then on the way home, I'm thinking to myself, actually shout out to my boy River Tiber. River Tiber's in the back of the Uber, and he's like, bro, you should have played Kanye The Glade. The Glade is a song that I played River a while ago, and I was like, man, damn, you're right. So that whole week we're in LA working on the album, Danny's album, and I'm thinking to myself, damn, I gotta get the Sunday service next week. I have to. Because I got this song that I just know Ye's gonna fuck with. I'm just 1,000% sure. Like, I just know it. And that whole week, I'm talking to Daniel's management, and I'm like, bro, can you please get me in the Sunday service the following week so I can go see Ye again? Saturday night, he hits me like, nah, man, Ye's management said it's full. I can't get you in. So that Sunday, I wake up, and I'm like depressed. It's like raining in LA for some reason. And I'm like, you know what? This is something I've never done. I've never just been like, I'm gonna stick my neck out and just go for it. Because back in Toronto, we don't have opportunities like that. There isn't like a legacy of acts that are blowing up, that are just putting niggas on. It doesn't happen back home. But I'm like, I'm in LA, I know where the Sunday service is, and I spoke to Ye like 2 or 3 times last week, and he himself told me to come back. He said, you should come back. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna wear the exact same outfit I wore last week, and I'm gonna pull up. So I pull up, I'm at the wrong address the first time. There's a guy that I met there that hit me and was like, we just exchanged numbers because it's LA and everybody's always exchanging numbers. Yeah. Again, some shit that doesn't happen in Toronto, but I was in LA. I was like, bro, I'm at the wrong place. Do you remember where Sunday service was last week? He was like, yeah, texted me the address. I pull up. I'm in line. There's some random people in front of me with Toronto Raptors jerseys on, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. We're playing the Milwaukee Bucks in the playoffs right now, so the city's on another level. I'm using that energy to propel me forward. We get to the front. Security's like, what's your name? I give them my name. I'm not on the list. They're like, who asked you to come? I'm like, Kanye asked me to come. They roll their eyes like, yeah, sure, nigga. Yeah, asked you to come, sure. Go over there and contact whoever let you in last week. I'm out there waiting for 30, 35 minutes. I'm hoping it rains. So they see this nigga in the rain and are like, yo, let's just let this nigga in the church, man. Doesn't rain. Eventually, one of the security guys opens the door and goes, hey, I remember you. Mind you, I'm wearing the exact same outfit I wore the week before. for that very same reason,
Right.
because the outfit I'm wearing wasn't like something that other people have. It was like a vintage Fox Racing pullover. Like nobody got that. You know what I'm saying? It's rare. So they let me in. I'm inside. I'm next to Shia LaBeouf. I'm next to Kim. I'm next to all these people that, you know, as a kid from Toronto, it's like, what the hell is going on? Service concludes. Ye and I lock eyes. He head nods me. I walk over to him. He's like, yo, thanks for coming back. I'm like, man, I had to come back. By the way, I got a song for you. He goes, oh, well, we going to the studio right now. I go to the studio. It's me, River Tiber, and this one other guy.
Wait, hold up. How did you get to the studio?
The studio was where the Sunday service was at. It's literally in the building.
Oh, it's in the building.
It was studio, was where the Sunday service was at. He got the fashion studio. So I'm in there. There's this lady showing him fabrics. Some people from the choir come into the studio. I play him the song. He turns it up. He closes his eyes and he goes, ooh. And then he restarts it and he turns it up loud. He asked me to turn it up. I turn it up louder and he's like raising his hands. His eyes are closed like this is it. And I'm bugging because I'm like, A, I knew this would be the record. B, nobody got me here other than my own gut and my own will. And C, what the fuck is happening right now, right? What the fuck is happening right now? Because I wouldn't be Sean Leon without Kanye West. That's a fact. I wouldn't have thought I could do this type of music and this type of music, and it doesn't matter. Before him, it was like, yo, you make this type of music, you got to make that type of music. You know, him and Pharrell are really very much the reason why I'm like, yo, I can do whatever I want sonically. So then after that, they contact me again. They want me to come out and help work on the album. So I go out, I work on the album. We get a bunch more songs done. I start being in the room with all these people that are like, you know, I just never would have had access to because I don't have a manager. I don't have a label. I don't have any of that stuff. I just have my work.
Solo.
I pull up solo like I pull up today.
And Kanye, who does he have around him at those sessions?
You know, the family. He's got the church with him. You know, it's very much back on his path and walking with God. And it was inspiring, and it changed my life, and it changed my aspect and my view on things. I have been religious myself, but I, you know, will admit that I fell off and became much more secular. But, you know, being around that energy, it really had a positive impact on my life. It's more than just music. I just feel completely transformed, you know? So it's I still don't even have the words for it.
Now, did you only talk about music, or did you talk about other things?
We talked about all kinds of things, man. We talked about marriage, we talked about life, nothing that I'm comfortable with divulging, but it was much bigger than music, man, and then just to be able to connect with him on that level was a blessing for me because, you know, honestly, I wrote in Matthew in the middle, I don't idolize niggas, staying a man alive, I idolize nigga, but I was lying, man, because Ye is honestly one of those individuals for me, you know, one of the very, very, very few, you know.
What are your thoughts on the recognition and the awareness that not only Ye has brought to mental illness in the past and his own dealings with it, but also how artists in the music industry can grapple with it and can find ways to overcome it?
I think it's an important conversation. I think as artists, it's almost our duty to shed a spotlight on it. I think a lot of artists suffer from variety of different types of like mental health issues. I know myself, I do too. So I think it's beautiful. I think it's important. And I think it's necessary work. And I just look forward to us having more and more conversations surrounding mental health. I think once that becomes less stigmatized and it becomes much more public and open forum, we'll see some like real changes happening in society, and I think just for the better.
What's next for you?
We're gonna finish this tour up, this US leg of the tour, and we're going to Europe. In between that, I'm gonna go home, have some family time. Started a new company last week. Going to expand and return to the original concept of what the I-6I initiative was and is supposed to be. Not a record label, but a company in service to the people. I'm gonna continue to make these records. My next album is gonna be my best album yet. And I'm just gonna continue to align myself with positive energies and just receive whatever blessing God has for me. Just remain focused. The goal this year was to diversify. I became a songwriter and just a deeper director this year as well. Became my own manager this year. It got me really far. Next year, I just want to execute. Yeah, I want to begin the 10-year takeover, the 10-year reign from 2020 to 2030. That's the plan.
This is Elevator. This is Sean Leon.
Atlanta! It's beautiful.
My man.
Nice meeting you,
Thanks so
brother.
much.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.